Joining us now from California is Norma Yaeger. Norma is the first woman admitted to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. She's also the author of Breaking Down the Walls. Thanks for coming, Norma.
Thank you, Ben, for having me.
After winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress last Sunday, Patricia Arquette talked about the disparity of wages between men and women in the workplace. What were your thoughts on that specific speech?
Well, I was very appreciative of her responding to our needs. It's taken 50 years for us to still try to get equal pay for women. I recall when I was hired 50 years ago as the first woman stockbroker, I was told that they didn't know what to pay me because I was a woman. And I told them that I was going to do the same job, keep the same hours, and expect to deliver the same amount of commissions that these men were going to get. Why could I not have the same pay? And he said to me, well, you're going to be doing the same thing, but these men have different expenses. They have families, they have travel expenses, they have all of these clothing expenses. I said, I have the same expenses if you expect me to come to work. I have the clothing expenses, I have the children at home. I said, I even have to hire a wife. Well, he looked at me and he said, I never thought about that. Well, you've got to give the men something to think about, I think. But anyway, I think it's about time that women got together and tried to make their stand for equal pay as well as they do for all other things that have to come up.
Norma, what would you say made you successful and gave you the successful career you had?
Well, the first thing that gave me the successful career was finding the job. I needed the job, and I was in desperate need of the job. My husband did not have his job. He had lost it. And my children, I had 3 children at home that needed to eat. And so I put my head down and hit the pavement to find a job that I was capable of doing. Women in my time were not expected to go to work. So I was not a nurse, I was not a teacher, and I was not a secretary. So I did what I could do best. I had my education was banking and finance. And so I looked for a job that I was capable of doing. And I love the stock market. So why not look for a job involved that? And I was fortunate enough to be hired to be a stockbroker.
Based on your assessment of the workplace today, what opportunities do men have now that did not exist when you started on Wall Street in 1962?
Well, women at that time could not have bank accounts without their husband's signature. And if you were single, you had no bank account. We couldn't have credit cards. We couldn't have stock accounts. We couldn't have jobs that were given to men. It was strictly a man's world, and we were not permitted there. We couldn't even go into the men's dining rooms at these major clubs that they had because women were not accepted. We were considered second-class citizens.
Some people say that there is still gender discrimination in the workplace today. How do you suggest these issues be addressed? Do you think that there is a role for government in this topic?
I absolutely do. First of all, women are proving that they can do the job. There are women doctors, lawyers, police women, fire women, and all the kind of jobs that men were doing, even airplane pilots. They're flying these huge 747s, so they're capable. If you're not capable, you shouldn't be trying out for the job. You have to be educated for it and do the proper job. However, I also think they have to help with the children because today our children are not getting the proper education because government is not doing their part. You have to have preschool care. You have to have, we're getting some health care now, so that is helpful. But you also have to be educating teachers to teach these children properly and have some care for them on the job. A lot of firms have now started having daycare for some of the young children that are being left at home when they hire these women. So that's important. Also, you're earning more money on these good jobs. And so invest and care for your family. Those are the things that I think are important, both for government and yourself.
We had a few women Secretary of State. We now have a woman Chairman of the Federal Reserve Board. Do you feel that the time has come for America to have a woman in the White House?
I absolutely do. She has to be prepared for that job. She has to know foreign policy. She has to be prepared, whether she's been in Congress, to know the workings of Congress. She has to be prepared for the job. Look at all the women that are different countries that have women leaders. England, Germany, India, Israel. I mean, all of these had women, and they bring something else to the job that men don't have. It's a point of view. It's a different emotion. I find that you give the same point of view to women as you give to men, and you come up with a different conclusion. So I think we now are ready for a woman president, and we should have one.
The book is Breaking Down the Walls from Norma Yaeger. Norma was the first woman admitted to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks for coming, Norma.
Thank you for having me, Ben.